Is my video starting? Yes, looks like I'm live. Well, happy 4th of July or Independence Day, he says with raised eyebrow irony. Anyway, truly happy 4th of July. 4th of July always meant pretty pleasant memories for me growing up in sort of white bread Nebraska in the 1950s. Uh, it sort of brings to mind, buildings festooned with bunting and maybe a little parade or two. Uh, Always just the school band and a few little funny floats going down old downtown Columbus. Uh, and the smell of hot dogs and in those days the hot dogs came on a chain of links. Okay, you bought the hot dogs by the foot or the yard, and it was very cozy. Backyard barbecues and s'mores, and it was always very hot and humid, and the mosquitoes were just they had a good time. Mosquitoes had barbecue too, and it was very pleasant and wholesome. In high school, uh, I I spent the summer before my junior year. I spent the summer memorizing the part of Harold Hill in the school musical for the upcoming year, the high school musical. And in our town, the music department, the head of the music department, and the choir director of the high school choir was an award-winning guy, a true maestro, and year after year after year always would bring home state awards for his. I think we had 106 voice choir, and so it was a serious uh, music department, and at the very beginning of the summer before my junior year, the choir director, Mr. Larson, was his name, uh, genius, absolute genius, had terrible migraine headaches, and he uh, he literally, like a maestro, bullied that 106 voice choir into shape, into an award-winning group. Um, anyway, he shows up at my house, okay, with a record album of uh, The Music Man with uh, Robert Preston, okay, and he didn't say hello. He didn't say anything else. I said, Mr. Larson, hi, what's up? And he hands me that album, and he says, learn and memorize Trouble by the first day of school. That's all he said. Didn't say anything. But when he said something, you listened and and you did it, okay? Because, throughout school, the only reason I passed all my other grades is because Mr. Larson bullied the rest of the teachers into giving me at least a C plus. Uh, Otherwise, I couldn't participate in the choir activities, and and so I took advantage. That's why I never studied. I never took a book home because, anyway, that's another story. The reason I'm saying all of this on the 4th of July is because the plot of the Music Man, centers around events that take place in River City, the fictitious River City, Iowa, um, in like the around 1910, 1912. Okay, and a 4th of July uh, events that took place. And it was so charming and it was so 4th of July-ish and red, white, and bluish and American Midwest. And uh, it just impressed me. Well, anyway, I memorized Trouble just by rote. I played it over and over and over again, like I played all the other music that I learned for the band. And on the first day of, and I could do it. I can still do it. Do you want me to do it? Uh, anyway, on the first day of choir, we all got together, and the very big choir room, all 106 voices. Um, and he said, this year, for our spring musical, we're going to do The Music Man. And everybody was kind of excited because Music Man is a big thing on Broadway at the time. And then he's got out a tape recorder. And like 3 days earlier, he had me come to the school, and he had the piano player there, and he says, "Okay, do Trouble." And the piano player did that, and we recorded it, just one take, bam, all the way through. And I thought, whoa, what's going on here? Anyway, down on the first day of school, uh, he got out the tape recorder with a little speaker on a reel to reel in those days. Okay, and he said he just turned it on. Okay, and it was me doing Trouble with the pianist. And he said, if anyone else says that if anyone else wants to try out for Harold Hill, you're welcome to. He says, otherwise, Lon will be Harold Hill. And so I was Harold Hill. And then I didn't have to do anything in my other classes for the whole rest of the year. And well, that's my 4th of July story. Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a billiard player. Certainly mighty proud to say. I'm always mighty proud to say it. I consider that the hours I spend with the cue in my hand are golden. Help you cultivate horse sense and a cool head and a keen eye. Did you ever take and try to give yourself an ironclad lead from a three-rail billiard shot? But just as I say, it takes judgment, brains, and maturity to score in a buck-line game. I say that any boob can take and shove a ball in a pocket. And I call that sloth the first big step on the roads to the depths of degradé. I say first medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle. And the next thing you know, your son is playing for money in a pinchback suit. And listen to some big out-of-town Jasper, hearing him tell about horse race gambling. Not a wholesome trotting race, no, but a race where they sit down right on a horse. I'd like to see some stuck-up jockey boy sitting on Dan Patch. Make your blood boil, I shall say. Well, friend, let me tell you what I mean. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets in a table. Pockets that mark the difference between a gentleman and a bum, with a capital B, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. I'm not going to go on. I could. I fall apart I fall apart now about after 5.5 minutes. And all week long, your River City youth will be frittering away. I say your young men will be frittering away their noontime, supper time, chore time to get the ball in the pocket. Never mind getting dandelions pulled or the screen door patched or the beefsteak pound. It goes deep inside one's soul to learn that part. And in a sense, if something as frivolous and as stupid as that can get deep down in a person's soul, I'm built somewhere in me is forever. Incarnation after incarnation, there will be a little Harold Hill in me. That's what the memory work in like Freemasonry so important. The memory work that one does in any sort of willful step-by-step evolutionary process of ceremonial magic or a meditation process, or like in the Tarot Architect, literally building the tree of life structure, the cube of space structure within you. It's heavy stuff. And I think it's the heavy stuff, it's the technology of that heavy stuff, which is the actual core technology behind the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the Tibetan Book of the Dead, for that matter. Anything that is memorized to perfection, memorized so deep into a part of you that no longer actually requires the meat brain to capture it and hold it. It goes into a mind, I would say something that's bigger than the meat brain. And if you can imagine the technology of the step-by-step process a dying person goes through in the death coma, okay, as they get rid of consciousness of the physical body, then consciousness of the mental body, and the consciousness of the astral, whatever, the different sheaths of who we are, our neshama and our ruach and all of that. And it really was driven home to me on the evening of my third degree, when in Masonry, when the master of the lodge stood up and for almost well over 15 straight minutes from memory, word perfectly, not very inspiring, but word perfect, read the entire review of that third degree initiation that I had just gone through. And then you were done in this, and the senior deacon said this, and then you were taken to this, and then we were told the story of this, and who's doing to do, and and then the Hiram of Tyre and all. Letter perfect. I was blown away that this old fart, he was probably in his 80s when he was doing that. And I looked to the sideline, and all my other brothers, who most of them were over 70 at the time, their lips were moving. They did it, and they knew it too. And if that old guy up in front is delivering it to me, if he would have made a mistake, they would have torn him apart. They would have gone. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you memorize a trip. You memorize a trip through many, many pylons or doorways. Okay. And at the end of the trip is the glorified Osiris, or the singularity, or Godhead itself. And at each step, you're met with a little resistance. Okay. I put a poster up today that Lon wants you in the resistance. Well, the resistance is, okay, kind of a different kind. You're met with, I want to go through that door. I want to get into a higher frequency of consciousness. I want to go through that door. And I'm dead now, and I'm out of my body, and okay, there's that first door that I memorized. And there's a crocodile guy in a blue suit or something. And he's saying, you can't go through here. You got to tell me my name is like Rumpelstiltskin or something. And you go, oh, I know your name. I memorized it. I got it right down. Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. And he goes, yeah, that's my name. Okay, pass by. And you confidently pass by into that little higher frequency of consciousness until you come to another door. And there's an aardvark wearing a polo shirt or something. And he said, no, you can't come here. You're too thick. Your consciousness is too thick to come in here. Tell me my name and drop a little of that thickness. He goes, your name is, all your River City youth will be frittering away. I said, your young men will be frittering. He's going, wow, man, come in. And you pass through, and you leave a little bit more of that sheath behind you. And you go on and on through pylon after pylon after pylon until you get to the glorified Osiris. And what has taken you through is your constant attention, your constant focus on a single trajectory movement, when everybody else who dies stops being engaged in any form of focused concentration. In other words, most people don't even get to the first crocodile. They're just, okay, I'm dying, it feels good. And that's their equivalent of being eaten by the hippopotamus with a crocodile face. Their souls are eaten right there. Okay, they don't even get through the first pylon. Do you see what I'm talking about? Now, how all of that came from the 4th of July, I don't know, because it was my plan. Like I've been threatening for 3 days. I've been planning to read my 666, is this the number of the beast, thing from Fate magazine. And you know, what time is it here? Well, I can read a little bit of it because I've titled this talk, and it'll appear on YouTube as titled this. So anyway, I call it 666, what's in a number? And it was in the 666, there it is. Volume 58, numbers 10, issue 666 of Fate magazine many years ago. Okay. October 2005, 20 years ago. Okay. And it is the first feature article, 666, What's in a Number, by Professor Harold Hill. Are you afraid of the number 666? If you were issued an automobile license plate or a telephone number that included a string of three sixes, would you ask for a different number? Do you think the number 666 is inherently evil? Do you believe any number can, in and of itself, be evil? The issue of Fate magazine that you're holding in your hands at this moment is issue number 666. The 666th word in this article is dead. Does this make you a little nervous? I actually counted the words to find a spooky word. It was the 666th word. If it does, you're not alone. There's a name for your condition. It's hexacosio-hexalcontahexaphobia, the fear of the number 666. Everyone has at least one or two superstitions that we feel somehow comfortably obliged to observe. My father was a geologist, a high-degree Freemason, and he was, for the most part, a very logical and scientific man. Still, he was oddly superstitious about little things like spilling salt or walking under ladders. For a lot of people, the number 666 is particularly terrifying. After all, it's the devil's number, isn't it? For a better part of 2,000 years, many in the Western world have certainly thought so. What is it about these three digits that makes so many people so uncomfortable? The dreaded number first makes its first and only appearance in the last book of the New Testament of the Revelation of St. John the Divine, often mistakenly called Revelations. The book that for centuries has been interpreted by theologians as a document prophesying the terrible events that will take place at the end of the world. Early church fathers decided that John, the author of the Revelation, was the same John who wrote the Gospel according to John of the last four Gospels. Modern experts from a wide range of religious and non-religious persuasions agree this is probably not the case. The style of the Greek writing and other obvious differences suggest the two books were penned by different individuals. Certainly, many Bible students are reassessing other theories concerning the book of the Revelation, exactly when it was written and what was originally trying to communicate. There is now a growing consensus among scholars that what John was actually describing in veiled imagery understandable to his contemporary audience, it was not the millennial end of the world, but an expose of all too earthly details of the horrendous Holocaust at the hands of the Romans that ended the Second Jewish Revolt in AD 72. This event destroyed Jerusalem and the Jewish temple and dispersed the Jews. For our purposes, it really doesn't matter. The fact remains that the book has become a permanent fixture in the cultural consciousness of Western civilization. So let's look for a moment at what tradition informs us about John, the man Jesus called his beloved disciple. After the crucifixion, John was arrested and banished to the tiny Isle of Patmos in the Aegean Sea, a place renowned in the ancient world for two things: its barren isolation and the fact that the powerful hallucinogenic mushroom Amanita muscaria grew there in abundance. We'll never know for certain whether or not John knowingly or unknowingly was influenced by the magic mushroom. He does, however, take care to tell the reader that he was, quote, in the Spirit on the Lord's day. Who knows? I wasn't there. The Spirit of the Lord. Okay, I was in the Spirit in the Lord's day when a vision began, and few can deny his book does read like a classic shamanistic or psychedelic experience. The vision is peopled with an awesome array of strange and terrible characters. 7 angels, 4 horsemen, a lamb, a lion, an eagle, a dragon, locusts with tails like scorpions and heads like long-haired women, a woman clothed in the sun with the moon under her feet, the archangel Michael, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations, and of course, the Antichrist. Now, okay. There are wars and plagues in what sounds suspiciously like an asteroid collision with the Earth. It's not to say that all that stuff can't happen, okay? Lots of people die, and the good dead people are rewarded while the bad dead people are made to wish they were deader. It's written in such a way as to make you feel pretty darn worried, even if you're confident that you'll be one of the good dead people. In chapter 13, we meet 2 beasts, one from out of the sea and one from out of the earth. The first beast has 7 heads and 10 horns, and looks like a leopard with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion. To this beast is given power and authority from a great fiery dragon, a serpent called the devil, and Satan, a character who was introduced to us in a preceding chapter. The second beast comes out of the earth and has 2 horns like a lamb and speaks like a dragon. The beast is identified by a numerical code in the last verse of chapter 13. Quote, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now, of course, the wording of that was written approximately in Shakespeare's time, from kind of the King James version, okay? The second beast performed all sorts of miracles that confused most everyone about just exactly who are the good guys and who are the bad guys in this whole messy affair. The book is cryptic, and it is open to almost infinite interpretations. It's not at all clear whether or not this beast 666 is the Antichrist or the Antichrist's friend, or exactly what. It's all very frightening and bewildering, and biblical scholars and theologians have debated for centuries over just who's who and what it all might mean. The second beast. One thing seems clear, at least on the surface. The second beast, the one with the number 666, is somehow in cahoots with the dark forces that work their mischief to bring about end-time events. The idea has tantalized people for 2,000 years, is the thought that this key player in the end world drama is not some invisible angel or spirit or abstraction, but a flesh and blood man, a man we might be able to identify by his number. How can a number represent a man? It's obvious. The answer is numerology. But what system of numerology? Hebrew, Greek, Latin, Aramaic, English? Nobody knows. John's book was written in Greek by a Jew who spoke Aramaic. That's the language spoken of by Jesus and the disciples. He lived in a Roman-occupied world. Hebrew, Greek, Latin, and Aramaic are all written in alphabets whose letters represent numbers. It's anybody's guess which, if any, of the language should be used to count the number of the beast. Now, I go on because I'm already going over her, but I talk a lot about gematria and things like that. I sort of introduced that concept. Um, so let's see here. The earliest Christians who believed the world was going to end immediately used Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew numerology to finger as 666 the wicked Roman Emperor Nero, whose monstrous reign parallels the horrors of John's vision. And it's easy to squeeze Nero, the word Nero, into 666 somehow or other. But they were overtly pointing, it is Nero. Okay, that's the beast and who was given power over the earth and went bonkers. Okay. But since the apocalypse didn't happen in the first century, at least not the way predicted by the book, people have been eagerly looking forward to the end of the world, seeking out individuals they don't like and trying to make their numbers add up to 666. The likely candidates have been Martin Luther, Henry VIII, Robespierre, Napoleon Bonaparte, George Washington, and his alleged Illuminati double Adam Weishaupt, Lenin, Adolf Hitler, Stalin, Chairman Mao, Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, Harry S. Truman, Prince Charles, King Juan Carlos of Spain, Mikhail Gorbachev, Bill Clinton, Osama bin Laden, and both George Bushes, and I almost forgot, all the popes. And who might we think about today? Who might, can't really remember. Anyone can be 666. It takes some doing, but given enough time and armed with the numerological tricks of Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, Latin, and English alphabets, you can make anyone's name add up to 666. But there's one thing that these accused beasts have in common, and that none of them actually came out and confessed to the world that they were the beast 666. There was, however, one man in the not-too-distant past who proudly claimed the title. His name was Aleister Crowley, and the magazine printed one of my favorite Aleister Crowley there, looking like Hugh Grant. It looked so cool. Okay. During his lifetime, the newspapers called him the wickedest man in the world. Chances are, if you've heard anything about Aleister Crowley, it probably wasn't good. During his lifetime and for many years after his death, his reputation has been that of a perfectly nasty man, a black magician. Admittedly, for Victorian England, he was a pretty wild character. You know what? I'm going to have to finish this tomorrow because I really have taken you over time here on the 4th of July. Not to give things away, but we don't even know if the book in Revelation was 666 at all. It might have been another number. Anyway, that's it. I'm sorry I went off on that Harold Hill digression. Heed that warning before it's too late. Look for the telltale signs of corruption. The minute your son leaves the house, does he rebuckle his knickerbockers below the knee? Is there a dime novel hidden in the corn crib, and in a nicotine stain on his index finger? Is he starting to memorize jokes out of Captain Billy's whiz-bang? If so, my friend, you've got trouble. Anyway, stay out of trouble today, and I hope to see you tomorrow for Saturday morning cartoons. Happy 4th of July. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.